Oklahoma City and Thunder playoff postgame. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals between Minnesota and OKC is in the books with the final score 114-88. And the Thunder leading the series 1-0. A highly anticipated Western Conference Finals matchup between the Thunder and the Timberwolves, and it tipped off right here inside of Paycom Center alongside Royce Young. I am Paris Lawson, and truly no better way for Oklahoma City to start this Western Conference Finals series than with a dominant win, particularly a strong second half effort to overcome this Minnesota Timberwolves team.
Because it was a little bit of a slow start for the Thunder. The Wolves did a great job of coming out. Jaden McDaniels knocking down shots early in this game. But like you said, Paris, this game really flipped on its head in the second half. The Thunder's defense was consistent throughout, but it really felt like when you went into halftime down 48-44, just 4 points, for as really kind of poorly as the Thunder executed offensively, really kind of disjointed, only took 8 3-point attempts, which I thought was really kind of strange in that first half. But to only be down 4, it set up that second half in a lot of different ways. And, you know, you look at this box score, a big theme coming into this series was the Timberwolves were 19th in the NBA in turnover rate. They turned it over 19 times in this game, and the Thunder turned that into 31 points. Also, I'll say this. We saw a muscle that's been built over the last couple seasons really get flexed in this game, and that was Thunder's small ball. Kenrich Williams coming in, who didn't really have much of a role in the previous series, playing a huge spark in the second half that you mentioned, and then also just some of the other small ball lineups that the Thunder were able to go to really disrupted Minnesota's offense.
Yeah, the Thunder ultimately outscored the Timberwolves 70-40 in the second half of this game, and a lot of that had to do with the defense, because in the first half of this game, that was really what the Thunder had to default to. They didn't have their shot. The execution offensively wasn't quite there. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Timberwolves, well, they started this game shooting pretty well. We saw guys like Julius Randle knocking down shots. Jaden McDaniels looked like he was going to get hot there early, but the Thunder started stacking up those stops, and they kept this game close so that by the time that offensive execution started clicking in the second half, you marry that with the excellent defense that the Thunder was already playing, and you get a massive win.
I think it might surprise people to see that the Thunder shot 50% from the floor in this game, but a lot of that had to do with the second half, which was hyper-efficient, a lot better execution. You know, I think a lot of people looked at this, again, with the Thunder's kind of short turnaround and the slugfest that was that Denver series, that it made it kind of feel like it maybe a feeling out type of game in some ways. And that first half certainly had that vibe to it, Paris, of both teams kind of trying to understand each other, understand some schemes. It felt like the Thunder were maybe overthinking some of their possessions, turning down some good looks to try to get to a great look and maybe overpassing a little bit. But the offense certainly looked a lot smoother in that second half. And also, a lot of that had to do with just being able to stack the stops and get out and run and playing that defense to offense basketball they do so well.
It's so cool to see how Oklahoma City utilizes the variety of pitches they have in their arsenal. And today, you mentioned it, Royce, that small ball lineup, that was key to the Thunder's run in the third quarter to overcome a deficit from Minnesota in that first half. And one guy, big spark plug off the bench, Kenrich Williams, a massive key for Oklahoma City to start that engine offensively.
Yeah, you know, Kenrich always brings a vibe and an energy to him, a toughness element. And with Julius Randle playing so well in that first half, it really did kind of feel like Kenrich Williams was going to maybe provide a good matchup on Julius Randle. It's kind of interesting. Chris Finch, to his credit, Timberwolves head coach, predicted it pregame, said, I think we might see some Kenrich Williams in this series, and he was right. And Kenrich not only did it on the defensive end with the toughness, but knocking down a good mid-range jumper, which set up a huge three. And again, there's only 5 points, but sometimes when a certain guy's scoring them that has that vibe to him, 5 points feels a lot bigger than that, and that's what happened with Kenrich's 5.
I mean, the fact that he didn't play at all in the Denver series, and then he comes in.
He's ready to go.
He's ready to rock and roll. Ultimate professional. And let me tell you what, this Thunder crowd, they were so excited to see Kenrich Williams check into the game for Oklahoma City. It was raucous as soon as he stepped onto the court. Let's go and listen to Jalen Williams, J-Dub, who caught up with our very own Nick Gallo postgame.
All right, Jalen, you guys outscored them by 22 in the second half of this game. Tell me about the way that you all responded to the first half and were able to be so aggressive in the second.
Just got to stick with the runs. Just understand that they're a really good team. And, you know, they're going to have moments where it's really loud and good for them, so we just kind of got to stick to it.
You, in particular, were great in that third quarter, really helped spur the turnaround. What were you finding offensively in that third quarter as you and Shai continue to make plays?
Just playing off of him, playing off the rest of the guys, just trying to be helpful in any way possible.
You had 5 steals tonight. As a team, you were excellent in terms of points off turnovers. Tell me about that side of the ball and what your mindset was.
I don't know, just playing hard. I mean, I'm obviously not going for steals, but just trying to be in the right spot and make the right play.
And what have you learned about just playing next to this group of guys? And you're now here in the Western Conference Finals, the opportunities that you have in front of you here.
Exactly that. Seize the moment. Obviously, they're going to try and do the exact same thing. But, yeah, I mean, this is what we live for. This is what we play. This is what we play for. We had such a long and fun season that, we don't want it to end, and that's how we're playing.
Congrats on the win. Great start to the series.
Yeah, appreciate it, Nick.
So professional. And I have to say, the other really cool thing about this, I think this is a personal record for towels for Nick Gallo after a game, and still did not flinch, locked in as always. But J-Dub, he deserved all of those towels because he put in the work in this game. You heard Nick Gallo. The man had 5 steals in this game, and we talked about how critical that Thunder defensive effort was.
Yeah, and I love the way the Dub put it. It's not like he's necessarily going for them. A few of them I think he was going for, like the one that he snuck up on Julius Randle and just picked his pocket right there. But so much of it is Dub's length, his athleticism, his instincts. He's all over the court. He's always in great position all the time. SGA had 3 steals in this one. Just that chaotic, disruptive defense that we've seen from the Thunder all season long really showed up in this one and really frustrated the Timberwolves. They just were not able to get into clean offensive sets. You kind of saw it as the game wore on. Some of their three-point attempts started getting further and further away from the bucket because that's kind of the best stuff that they could kind of get to. And that now I will say this about as this game kind of went along, some of this, the Timberwolves got in some foul trouble early in this one. I think that kind of tilted the game. And so, it's one of those things where we all understand this is game 1. Things can feel a lot differently. Things that happen in one game may not happen in another game. Shots may fall, shots may not fall, calls may get made, whatever it is. But a lot of great takeaways from this game here tonight. And Oklahoma City deserves a lot of credit for being able to turn the page, Paris, and get into this game after that 7-game series against Denver.
And adjust mid-game, get the train back on the tracks after getting down early in this one, and withstanding a barrage there in the second quarter from Julius Randle, who felt like he couldn't miss there for a second. So great poise and composure by Oklahoma City. But one other theme I want to talk about in this game is the way the Thunder dominated in the paint throughout the entirety of this game. I mean, we're talking 54-20 in paint points, but it's not just the scoring, it's how few paint opportunities the Timberwolves got in this game. Just 23 compared to 50 field goal attempts in the paint for Oklahoma City.
Yeah, and again, I mean, that's with Rudy Gobert patrolling the paint, one of the best defensive players this league has ever seen, one of the best rim protectors, paint protectors, but the Thunder did a tremendous job. We haven't even mentioned yet, Chet Holmgren was awesome in that fourth quarter. I thought he had, I don't remember who hit the 3 for Minnesota, but it was a huge answer by Chet the next possession right there after Minnesota cut it to 7, and it was a great answer by Chet, and then obviously his defensive activity was awesome in that fourth quarter too.
Just so much to talk about from this game. Everybody stepping up, especially in that second half. But for now, let's get over to the press room so you can hear from Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault postgame.
First half, and then you guys were able to continue to turn it up and get the offense going in the second half. What did you feel throughout that first half in terms of the pressure you all were able to put to just keep you in it long enough?
I thought that was the game, for us, to play as poorly as we did offensively in the first half and to be down 4 was a major victory for us at halftime. And the defense was a huge catalyst in that. I thought offensively, it's a very different series. It's a very different team stylistically, and I just thought it took us some time to calibrate that. They're a lot more pressure-oriented on the perimeter. They're a lot more physical on the perimeter. Denver, plays you at a lower pickup and packs it in. Their physicality is different, but this team is really up the floor, pressuring, and really after you. And so I just thought it took us a second to calibrate to the opponent, but our defense allowed us the margin to do that, obviously.
Mark, you and Shai have been in a handful of series now together where he's been, the first option. Like, what have you seen from him as far as the way he processes a game from quarter to quarter up until the point where, maybe it's time for him to sort of close the game?
Yeah, he keeps himself in it. He's got a great emotional temperament. I've always marveled at that about him. He was 2 for 13, I think, at halftime or at one point in the game. And he just keeps himself in it. He doesn't get emotional. He just plays the next play. I thought he was really in attack mode tonight. He did a great job of pounding the paint with the ball. He had a good blend, especially in the second half of his early passes. But, he was really driving it and putting a lot of pressure on them. which is what you have to do against that level of pressure and physicality.
And he said earlier in the year that going into the season that he stopped caring about his efficiency and that it almost made him feel like liberated, I think was the word used. Do you remember seeing signs of that earlier this year? And I guess what has that meant for him during this playoff run?
Yeah, he's a great player that just stays present. You know, if you're worried about your efficiency, you're worried about the past or the future. And he's, you know, a very present player. He just plays the possession in front of him. He doesn't really change his game. He doesn't change his mindset. I thought that was on, you know, full display tonight, and he was huge for us. And I thought him, Chet in the second half, Dub in the second half, there was just a different level that they went to, Caruso, from where they were in the first half. They did a great job in game of kind of turning the table.
Mark, you didn't play Kenrich many meaningful minutes in that Denver series. In fact, I don't think any meaningful minutes. But for him to come in the first half and then the defense he played on Julius in the second half, just what did he bring tonight, and what did you like about the matchup with him out there?
Well, you know, first of all, he hasn't played, you know, significant minutes in a game since the last game of the regular season. It was 5 weeks ago. And the amount of invisible work that it takes to keep yourself that sharp to be able to go in a playoff game like that in the Western Conference Finals and perform the way he did, the invisible work shows up there. You know, that's unbelievable. Consistency, professionalism, mental toughness, all that stuff. And I truly believe that it breathes life into the team when they see a guy not play. You know, he was a huge contributor for us this season, and he didn't play really in the first two series, and he just puts his head down every day, keeps himself ready. And then to go in and deliver like that was a huge energy boost for us. Our energy was not where it needed to be in the first whatever amount of that game, and he changed it. And in the second half, he really changed it. So, you know, huge credit to him. You know, it just shows everybody what we already know about him, but that was a big-time performance.
Coach, Mark Spears, ESPN Landscape. You know, 1 day off after a 7-game series, 1 day to prepare. This team is rested. Just so many ways for error for you guys. How did you overcome those challenges for a victory?
Yeah, I thought it was great mental toughness, and I thought it started in the first half, like I said. You know, to play that poorly offensively and to not get knocked out was huge. You know, we lost the rounds, but we didn't get knocked out. And I just thought, like I said, we're going from one opponent that plays very different stylistically on both ends of the floor to an opponent that is way more free-flowing on offense and way more physical and pressure-oriented on defense. And I just thought it took us a minute to calibrate to that. And the guys did a great job of just staying in it mentally, you know, long enough for the game to turn for us.
Yeah, the fourth quarter with Chet kind of was a slog early, but fourth quarter I think he had 7 points, he had a 3, he's on the boards offensively. That kind of help you put the game away. He
was big time, you know, and I didn't think he played his best in the first half, like a lot of guys on the team, and he just kept himself in it and really got engaged in the game, and he was part of a huge run there. I thought being able to go to K-Rich the way we did and get him a blow and then come back to him fresh at the end of the third was huge for Chet. And so it just shows the downstream effects of depth. And I thought it helped him tonight, but he was really ready to rock when he went back in there.
Another game where you guys have more than 30 points off of turnovers. Obviously, that starts at the defensive end, but why do you think you guys are so successful converting turnovers into buckets, and how much does that kind of buy you time or allow you to overcome early muck in the half court?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened tonight. You know, we were mucky in the first half, and our defense was a huge catalyst. And the turnovers are never. That's not what we talk about. You know, we talk about our crowd. You know, we talk. You know, the crowd around the ball, and we talk about being aggressive in our help. You know, trusting our help, trusting our speed, trusting our teammates, and you know, that tends to yield turnovers when we really have that going. But it also yields tough shots and non-rhythm shots, and so that's what we're trying to do. But the guys did a great job of drumming that up really from the jump, and then as we gained energy in the game, it obviously amped up as we went along.
Andrew Schleck with The Athletic. 27 threes is the lowest amount you took in the regular season in a game. Tonight you took 21. Just thoughts on what led to that?
I mean, we took a lot in the paint tonight. You know, I don't know what the number was, but probably took 50 shots in the paint. You know, so and we weren't replacing them with bad shots. I mean, we were on the gas in the paint and aggressive driving the ball. So I liked our blend tonight. I thought the ones we took were good. We missed some passes to the three. We probably could have took more. I thought we missed some passes, especially in the first half. But like I said, it's a new opponent, and we're used to playing Denver. Like we've been playing Denver for 2 weeks. So it took us a second to calibrate that, but we got better as the game went along, and now we have to get better as the series goes along.
Anthony Slater with The Athletic. Chet obviously had that big stretch to open the fourth. He was the only center. Hartenstein and Gobert didn't play in the fourth at all. What is your early read on just kind of the landscape for the centers in this series?
It's hard to know. These series shift so quickly. Every game's different. Every team is constantly trying to problem solve and find new ways to gain advantages. They're going to do that. We're going to do that. Gobert's a huge factor in the series, obviously. He's somebody that we have to be aware of on both ends of the floor. And we're going to need all of our guys. All those guys are live, but tonight that's just kind of how the game unfolded. And it's a good weapon for us to be able to downsize like that.
Mark, one of the things you've mentioned about this team is that everyone sacrifices for this team. As you guys continue to get deeper into the postseason, how have you seen that continue to show up?
I mean, Kenrich Williams, Isaiah Joe tonight. You can't not play. The way those guys. Isaiah Joe's minutes got cut last series. K-Rich didn't play. You can't play that little. For a series, 2 weeks. Be that ready to play if you're not in the right frame of mind and not in a team frame of mind. And those guys, to their credit, they're the ultimate professionals. And real leaders in that way, and it breathes a lot of energy into the team and a lot of life into the team, and it's hard not to sacrifice if you're a teammate of those guys and you're watching them do that, and Jay Will just helped us win the Denver series. He didn't play tonight, so it works the other way too, and he'll keep himself ready, and we'll need him probably at some point in this series too.
Yeah, Mark, they've been one of the better teams in the paint in the postseason. Only 20 points tonight when they've been averaging 52 for the postseason. How much of that was a focus for you guys? And then with Julius Randle, you talk about the give and take of defense, and he had it going offensively from the three-point line in the first half. Second half, not so much because you kind of took that away. And then particularly from the paint, he's been also one of the better guys in the paint in the postseason. Just talk about how you guys were able to take that away also.
Yeah, I mean, he's, first of all, what a half he had. That was impressive, the shot making. The one he made from deep, I was just like, man, this guy is going right now. But I thought we did a good job of amping up our ball pressure on him, understanding that he had it going. I thought the guys adjusted well to that in the game. And with the paint stuff, it just goes back to our help. You gotta trust your help. You gotta be in there. Fortunately for us, we have team speed, so we can be in there and still get out to our guy. And him and Edwards and Reed are guys that if you don't do that, they can really have their way with you. So I thought the guys did a really good job of doing that tonight.
Coach, was that foul on Randall at the end of the half significant? And how did you defend him better and continually through the game? I guess Ant-Man ended up, I think, with 5 field goals. Just wondered your philosophy in defending them.
I thought we did a good job on them. I thought, like I said, it takes guys on the ball and it takes guys in the help. Great players and great offensive players, you can't defend them with one defender. You got to defend them as a team. That's been a strength of us all season. I thought we did that tonight, but this is a really, really good team that's got great resolve. These are great players. They have a great coach tactically, so they're going to have, the next pitch that we're going to have to hit, and, we are aware of that, so we got to get to work. Yep, thanks.
Yeah, I don't know what you took away from that, but one of the biggest takeaways for me, Coach Daigneault talking about the mental endurance and toughness it takes to recalibrate to an entirely new opponent after going through a marathon of a series against the Denver Nuggets. And so, yeah, it makes sense that the Thunder had to calibrate a little bit in the first quarter of this game.
Definitely my takeaway too, Paris. I love the way Coach Mark said it. We're used to playing Denver, and when you play the same team for 2 weeks, it does take a minute,
Shai,
especially stylistically when a team is so different as the Timberwolves are.
All
right, let's get back over to the press room because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is now adjusting the media.
Able to find your spots, you and Dub.
Yeah, we haven't had the greatest of third quarters this playoff run so far. We want to make that emphasis. come out of halftime with a punch, with a little jolt, with some energy, and not ease into it. And we'd be better off towards the end of the game. We just made that emphasis, and we didn't panic. Obviously, with the struggles in the first half, we missed a bunch of layups as a group. We missed free throws, like the easy ones, and we knew that we stuck with it. They would eventually fall, and they did.
Shai, you've played a handful of series now as a first option. What have you sort of learned about how to process a game from quarter to quarter, how you value each quarter up until maybe the point it's time for you to close a game?
Yeah, it's always a chess match out there. Like, you go out there, you have a base coverage, you have something that you want to start with, then you see how the game goes, and then you just read and react and adjust from there. They make a move, you make a move. Like, it's back and forth, and it's going to be like that throughout the series. They're a really good team. They'll make adjustments. They'll get better for sure. We have to continue to get better as well.
As far as the back and forth, it seemed like early you were trying to set that line of like what sort of physicality could go, what couldn't, and the shots you would take with that. What sort of changed from half to half as far as the calls you felt like you got and what you wanted to shoot?
I don't know. I'm not too sure what you mean by that. I was just out there being aggressive, trying to get to my spots. Obviously, it wasn't falling like it usually does and like I would like it to. But it's part of the game. Nothing really changed in my mindset. I just try to continue to be aggressive, continue to trust my work, and it worked out for me in the second half.
Yeah, Shai, Mark was just in here talking about how a guy like Kenrich, who didn't play in last series, coming in, breathes life into the team. And not just him, Isaiah Joe. First off, do you agree with that assessment? And then what does that do for you guys on a night like where your shots aren't falling?
Yeah, absolutely. Every series is different, and every game in every series is different. Different matchups. You need different things for different opponents. So, like, our readiness as a group has been special, and we're going to need it the further we go. But those two guys were nothing short of who they've been all year. Like, guys who play one night, not play the next night, play 30 minutes a night after that. Like, they are always ready. They know what they bring to the team, and they go out there and do it at a high level. And then that's why they were ready for their moment tonight. But, yeah, we don't win this game without those two guys, and hats off to those two guys. And those two guys are who they've been all year, and that's tough to do through the ups and downs and the emotions of, like, playing and not playing. So, yeah, hats off to them, too, for sure.
Yeah, Shai, Mark was talking about how he thought it took you guys a little time to recalibrate with the different style of opponent. Did you feel that at all during the game, that you have to remind yourself, oh, this isn't Denver anymore?
It felt different from jump. They're more like pressure-oriented. It feels like a little more physical. But at the end of the night, it's basketball. They throw you a problem and you have to solve it, whatever it looks like. And that's what it is every night, and that's what it was tonight. They had different coverages, different personnel out there, and we have to attack it and work together as a unit to solve the problems out there. And we did that tonight, especially in the second half.
Andrew Schlecht with The Athletic. Shai's kind of a follow-up to that question. Specifically, what did it feel like going from playing 7 games of a lot of zone defense, to playing against man defense in this game?
Yeah, usually in the NBA you see man, and we're comfortable playing man, and the zone was a wrinkle, but it ultimately made us better for sure, and we can feel that. By the end of the series, we were attacking it way better. We knew what we were getting to. And the possession that they threw zone out there, we got a dunk like right away. Like, you could just feel us getting better at it, and that's what it's all about. That's what the first game of the season is about. That's what the first game of the playoffs is about. That's what the last game of the playoffs is about. Like, just continuing to get better through the experiences, and you'll look up and be where you want to be. And that's all we can control. Like, can't control what they throw at us. We can just control how we attack it and how we approach it. And that's what we did last series. And this series will look different, and we'll do the same thing.
Shai, you mentioned that this team didn't panic. You've been a leader of this team for a while now, but how would you describe what that process has been like of leading by example?
Yeah, it's just true to my personality. Not always the loudest guy in the room or say too much, but my energy and effort and what I put on the floor speaks louder than anything. And that's just how I try to not only go about the game, but go about life. Like, actions always mean louder than words, to me especially. So that's just how I go about it.
Shai, the defense kept you guys in the game early on before your offense could really find a hold. With the way you guys were forcing turnovers, do you think there's some correlation between them launching as many threes because maybe they didn't feel like they could bring it into the teeth of the defense, and is that kind of the strategy you guys had, was forcing them to kind of do things out of character?
Yeah, I have no clue what they were thinking. I don't know how to answer that one. We try to play to our identity on both ends of the floor, and then just read and react from there. I don't know. I can't answer that one for you. But yeah, we try to play to our identity defensively, and we did a good job of that. And the defense definitely gave us life early in the game and kept us in it for sure.
Shai, Game 7, Kaysen sets a career high in the playoffs for assists. Tonight he's got 7, a new career high in assists off the bench. What are you seeing from him as a playmaker for you guys, and being able to facilitate for others?
Yeah, Queso played point guard in high school and college. You guys, you might forget that. This is his role in the NBA. But he's a really good basketball player. He knows how to play, he knows how to read the game. And we're seeing him grow as the games go on, and that'll continue for his whole career. He's a guy that soaks things up quickly, has a great feel out there on both ends of the floor, and the sky's the limit for Queso. I've said that before. He's a really good player.
Yeah, you guys didn't play the two bigs together as much as you usually do. Went small a fair amount and still held them to 20 points in the paint. How were you able to keep them from doing any kind of real damage in the paint?
Yeah, Chet Holmgren, first and foremost. Really good rim protector. Hardenstein as well. But something that coach has done all year is just mix up lineups throughout the season. And I think it has us ready and prepared for moments like tonight, where the matchups are different than they were the past 7 games, and we're going to need a different lineup to adjust. And for us, it was seamless because we've done it all year, and that's something that he preaches. He doesn't want us to get too set in stone in our lineup because of nights like tonight and matchups like we've seen recently. And I think that's just part of our DNA now.
Yeah, Shai. Anthony Edwards shot, I think, 5 of 12 through 3 quarters. He only shot 13 times tonight, 0-1 in the fourth quarter, did not score. From your perspective, was it just him just not being as aggressive in the fourth, or was it something that you guys were intentionally doing to stop him?
I don't know. I'm not too sure. Good player, though. He'll play better than he played tonight. It's a long series. We just got to be ready for whatever.
Shai, you guys took 21 threes tonight. That's the fewest you've taken all season by 6. What are some of the things that led to that?
Just us playing basketball. I don't think we ever focus on what type of shots. As long as they're good ones, we try to let them rip. And I guess the threes, that we had less good threes tonight. But I don't know how to answer the question. We just go out there and play to our strengths, and whatever the night looks like, it looks like.
How big did you?
Yeah, the Thunder played to their strengths all game long, and one big strength is standing right next to us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. How about Kenrich Williams now joining us here today? And Kenrich, you come off the bench for OKC in this game after not really seeing the floor in that Denver series, and one thing that Coach Daigneault gave you a lot of credit for was the invisible work that you put in to make sure you were ready for this moment. What is that invisible work that we don't see?
Yeah, it's just a lot of faith in God, and putting my trust in Him, give Him the glory right now for this moment, and definitely just staying ready. My job as a basketball player in the NBA is to be professional, so just try to stay ready, get shots up, and get some good work in with the high-intensity guys. Shout out to those guys, and just stay ready for the moment.
Kenrich, another thing Coach Mark kind of talked about was just how you can kind of shift the vibe too with, the way your teammates love you, and that when you come in and you start kind of sacrificing and putting it on the line like that after not playing, it can raise the energy level, and he really felt like you raised the energy level tonight.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I tried to do. First half was a little slow. We needed some energy, and just wanted to give a spark to the team. Whether that was on defense, offense, just try to turn the game up and just get us going.
A lot of your minutes were in that small lineup that you guys rolled out there. What makes those work? I mean, you're used to those minutes playing the 5. What makes those work for you guys?
Yeah, I think it's just something we've been doing all year. For one, I think when all of our big men went out, it kind of prepared us for this moment right here. And just being able to match up with those guys over there, it's just something that we've been kind of building on all year, and it just happened to work tonight.
What was these last 48 hours like? And, Coach Mark talked about been very used to playing Denver for 2 weeks, and you come off the emotional high of a Game 7, and now you've got an all-new opponent, new style, new everything. Yeah. What's that been like?
It's been fast. That's the word I'll use, fast. Like you said, it's a totally different team, totally different dynamic. Denver was more kind of playing through Jokic. This team is like spread it out and shoot the ball very well. So it's 2 different styles of play, and just having to turn that page from when we play Sunday.
Sunday.
To having a day to prepare for this game. You got to give a lot of credit to our coaches and the guys just being able to respond quickly.
A big theme from this game, we were talking about it, the defensive effort, and you mentioned it, bringing that spark, that energy on that end of the floor. You guys had 31 points off of their turnovers today. What was working so well defensively for you all?
Well, that's something that we've been doing all year. We kind of been feeding off that. Game 7 was very similar. It gets us going. It gets us energy. That's what we hang our hats on. We're to brag a little bit, we're one of the best defenses that's ever played in the NBA. So, just taking advantage of that, using that, and just hanging our hats on that end.
It's not bragging if it's true, K-Rich. So, but, last thing for you. So, as you guys kind of, you talk about the whirlwind of this. Now, it's, again, just another day off, and then now it's Game 2, and obviously the Wolves are going to be hungry to try to respond. There's some adjustments made. Now the feeling out period's kind of over. So getting back to 0 and getting ready for that Game 2, what do you expect for that from them, and what might look different?
Yeah, I expect those guys to come out very hungry, come out like with a different level of intensity. They're going to definitely make some changes, and we got to prepare. Like you said, it's time to flip the page. We won this one, so now it's time to go get another one.
Time to go get another one, indeed. We are certainly looking forward to that. And Kenrich, thank you so much for stopping by. Great game tonight.
Thank y'all for having me.
All right, stick with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. We've got more to talk about over the Minnesota Timberwolves in Game 1.
Air Comfort Solutions has always stood for cooling, heating, plumbing, and electrical services you can count on. Assuring comfort since 2004, our Oklahoma Strong team stands for accuracy, confidence, and support where and when homes need us most. Today, with our refreshed look and our expanded services, ACS stands for achieving 100% customer satisfaction as we stand tall and do it all for OKC homes. Like a $69 AC tune-up to keep your home comfortable year-round. For whatever your home needs, don't stress. Call ACS.
Experience the sweet, vibrant flavors of Mexico in every spoonful of Brahms' new fancy sundaes. Enjoy a cascade of fresh fruits on Brahms' Tarta de Fresa Crema Sundae. Indulge in creamy cinnamon-kissed ice cream with silky caramel on the Chongo's Zamorano Sundae. Dive into strawberry paradise with Brahms' Fresas con Crema Sundae and savor each caramel-filled bite of Brahms' Sopapilla Cheesecake Sundae. Authentic flavors, bold traditions, and irresistible sweetness in every scoop only at Brahms.
Big wins are blooming across Riverwind Casino, and the jackpots have never been sweeter.
Go all in on your favorite table games.
Hedge your bets on the biggest wins and unbeatable entertainment. Use your wild card for the best perks and the top rewards.
And play for your share of the $100,000 Lucky May Days giveaway. Win with the best.
And we'll see you at Riverwind.
An incredible start to this Western Conference Finals for the Oklahoma City Thunder as they defeat the Timberwolves 114-88 here in Game 1. The Thunder now leads the series 1-0, and boy, was it rocking here inside of Paycom Center as this Thunder team took down the Wolves. Playoff game day starts early with Thunder up in the park. Get ready for Game 2 tip-off on Thursday at Scissortail Park with live music, games, and giveaways. Scan the QR code on your screen for more info. Yeah, it felt like everybody was just ready, primed. They were thundering up in the park. They were here early for early doors. This group was every fan in here was standing from the start of this game, even before then. The atmosphere really helped this team put their wind in their sails, especially in the second half of this game, as we welcome you back inside of Paycom Center into Thunder playoff postgame. And Royce, there's so much to break down from this game. We've talked about a lot of it, the defense, the points in the paint, the second half effort. We've talked a little bit about Chet Holmgren, but I think he deserves a lot of credit for what he was able to do in the second half.
No question. We were just getting started talking about when Coach Mark came on, Coach Mark even, I thought, said it perfectly, just talking about Chet and maybe not having the best first half and then being able to kind of turn the page, reset his mindset, get some good rest there, and then really come in and give the team a surge in that late third quarter. And then the fourth quarter from Chet was massive. Defensively, you always kind of know what to expect from Chet. He's going to protect the basket. He's going to challenge shots. Always going to answer the moment of truth. But again, I thought that three that he hit to answer after the Wolves cut a 10-point lead to 7 was huge. And then just the pick and roll stuff, the work on the offensive glass, the work on the defensive glass. Keep in mind, he's battling Rudy Gobert down there, one of the most physically imposing players in the NBA. And so, again, it's just the different looks that the Thunder can continue to throw at teams that makes them so hard. The double big stuff, single big with either Hartenstein, single big with Chet, or you go small. So all those different things is only enabled by the incredible versatility from a player like Chet Holmgren.
I mean, 15 points, 7 boards, 2 blocks. The impact, you can feel it all over this box score for Oklahoma City. And it really helps, to your point, the versatility of this group. Imagine trying to scout a team like Oklahoma City when you have a guy like Chet Holmgren who can play by himself as the 5, play along a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein, or neither one of those guys could be on the court and you got a guy like Kenrich Williams playing the 5. That is a massive advantage for this team.
And also you can cross-match defensively and kind of shock the other team's system a little bit when they're maybe expecting, okay, they're going to go traditional with Hartenstein on Gobert and then probably Chet on Randall. And instead it was Chet on Jaden McDaniels at different times, Chet on Nikhil Alexander-Walker. Chet can get out and guard on the perimeter and move his feet and then obviously recover and block shots. And it just enables the Thunder to really just throw all these different types of defensive looks that are kind of out of the ordinary and very hard to crack the code on that when you don't know the matchup, you don't know who you want to put in the pick and roll. You might have repped something out and then you're like, okay, this guy's on the wrong guy. I don't really know how to handle this.
We talked about the Thunder's defense in terms of the points off turnovers that they generated from Minnesota's turnovers. But another element where that really shows up is just in the fact of the field goal percentage for this one. We talked about Minnesota's second unit. Guys like Dante DiVincenzo coming off the bench, Naz Reid, Nikhil Alexander-Walker. Those guys combined 5 of 25 from the three-point line. And those are guys who can certainly light it up. But I think a lot of credit for Oklahoma City for making those shots difficult today.
The Thunder did a great job of recovering on shooters. And because, again, the Wolves, we just heard Kenrich talk about it, the Wolves really try to spread the floor on you and spread to shooters as much as they can. Again, that's a big point of improvement this season from Anthony Edwards, specifically about getting the ball in the middle of the floor. And as he sees a crowd, he's really improved at spreading the ball out. But, again, this is an area that the Thunder have so much strength in with their speed and anticipation that they can recover on those shooters.
Yeah, so much great stuff defensively for Oklahoma City in this one. A big reason why they're able to walk away with the Game 1 victory, now up 1-0 in this Western Conference Finals against the Timberwolves. All right, stick with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. When we come back, we'll hear from News 9's own Steve McGehee.
Big car payments? That's no fun. Even if you love your car or truck, the wrong vehicle loan can leave you wondering where your money goes and if your payment could have been lower. So if you're paying more than you should on your car loan every month, give a little love to your budget and contact Communication Federal Credit Union. There's no cost to find out if we can help. Plus, all new vehicle loans and refinances get the first 90 days with no payment. Love your car and your loan payment with Communication Federal.
Let Loves be your partner on your summer RV trip. Fuel up, grab a bite to eat, and stay the night at one of our 90 RV stops. Reserve an RV spot overnight and turn on amenities from your phone. With over 420 dog parks, we've even got your furry family members covered. We're the perfect pit stop for your next road trip. Loves, the heart of the highway.
With OG&E Smart Hours, you control your energy and your savings. If you're a busy bee, go with Smart Hours Daily, where daily price alerts let you maximize savings. Or how about Smart Hours Fixed? Just set it and forget it. Night owl? Choose Smart Hours overnight. No matter which you choose, with Smart Hours, you control your energy and your savings. When you reduce your energy use between 2 and 7 p.m. this summer, you help the grid, the environment, and your wallet. But you have to sign up to save. So sign up now at oge.com/smarthours.
Back inside a Paycom Center here in downtown Oklahoma City, the backdrop for tonight's Game 1 matchup between the Thunder and the Timberwolves. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder, who took down Minnesota 114-88. As we welcome you back inside, and joining us now on Thunder Playoff Postgame, it is News 9's own Steve McGehee. And Steve, the simple question for you off the top, how about that second half?
It was a beautiful second half, outscoring Minnesota 70-40. You know, Minnesota didn't even get to 90 points tonight. Defensively, Oklahoma City was outstanding in the second half. They spotted Minnesota an 8-0 lead in the game. Kind of a muddy first half by the Thunder, and they responded in the second half. I really loved Chet Holmgren, excellent on both sides of the floor. He really picked it up, the Minneapolis native, in the second half. That was one of the difference makers. Isaiah Joe didn't play a lot of minutes in the previous series. He comes in tonight, gets some minutes. Kenrich Williams, good defense, 3 rebounds, knocks down a 3. You know, those two guys right there come off the bench, hadn't played in a while, and they look like they've been playing all season long, every game.
Steve, you mentioned it, but coming out of the series against Denver, which feels like it just happened 5 minutes ago. You're so used to seeing the Nuggets. I mean, it was a long, emotional series, ups and downs. Then you get to this game here today, and it's kind of, you're playing a whole new opponent. But you pointed out the bench guys. How important is that to be able to kind of tap into your depth when you are going through those ups and downs and you've got to flip the page so quickly?
Well, we all know Mark. He's not afraid to go to the bench, and so it's like when Kenrich came out, I wasn't surprised at all, and Isaiah Joe as well. Those are 2 guys that they counted on all season long. Didn't play every game, of course, but I think it was a great move on Mark Daigneault to bring those guys out, and they did not disappoint. Isaiah had good defense as well. So this bench is deep. It was better than Minnesota's bench. And what I was most impressed about this game tonight, one of the impressions was Naz Reid and McDaniels always have good games against the Thunder, it seemed like. Tonight was not the case. McDaniels, 7 points, fouled out. Naz Reid, 1 out of 11, missed all 7 threes, and he finished with 4 points. Will that happen in game 2? Doubtful, but, first game, those guys in the past have been, Thunder killers, so to speak, but not tonight.
You talked about how muddy the first half of this game was, and the reason the Thunder was still in it, only down by 4 at halftime, their defense. And by the end of the game, they finished with 31 points off turnovers. This is the second straight game now we've seen plus 30 in points off turnovers for Oklahoma City. How valuable, how vital was that in your eyes in this game today?
They picked up where they left off, I think, in Game 7 against Denver, especially, from second quarter on to the fourth quarter. But, Oklahoma City does a great job putting a lot of stress on the ball. We know about Minnesota's they're turnover prone, and they were definitely turnover prone tonight against the Thunder.
Yeah, great stuff from the Thunder defensively, and great stuff from News 9's own Steve McGehee. Thank you so much for joining us, Steve.
See ya.
All right, let's get you over to the press room now so we can hear from Isaiah Hartenstein, who's at the podium.
Defensively, I think from the start we were locked in. Again, we played a great team defense the whole game. I think that's always important for how we play. And then the second half, our offense just started going. I think at the beginning we had shots that we always want to take and just didn't make them, missed some layups here and there. And then when our offense kind of caught up to us, that's when we started really taking it to the next level.
Isaiah, Kenrich doesn't play hardly at all in the last 2 series, really hasn't played minutes that mattered since the regular season. For him to come in tonight, what did that do for you guys?
It's huge. Just seeing how he approaches every day. We see how he stays ready. And also just the mental part. I think that's the biggest thing. You can do so much physically, but to mentally be ready to go, even if you haven't played the last 2 series, really, you have to give him a lot of respect. He was huge for us today. But then also, even when he didn't play, he was always locked in. He was always talking to us during timeouts, on practice days, and so it wasn't like he wasn't locked in. He was always helping us throughout the other series too.
He told me that they've got a group of guys that don't play much that have a game often on game days. What have you seen from those guys? What do those games look like?
A lot of smack talking back and forth. No, I think our coaches do a great job of keeping everyone ready. And so just seeing out on a day-to-day basis, you always have the trust that no matter who's going in, he's going to be ready. He's going to have a big impact. Last series, it was Jay Will who came in. Maybe didn't play that much the series before, but we all knew when he was going to come in, he was going to have a big impact. And so we always trust anyone on the team.
Andrew Schlecht with The Athletic. Kaysen's role seems to be just expanding as the playoffs go on, specifically his passing and his lob throwing.
Yeah.
You're on the receiving end of one of those tonight. Can you just tell me about the chemistry as it's evolved, especially with the lobs?
Yeah, I mean, I came in the locker room today and called him Magic Johnson. So I've never seen him pass like that before, but it's been great. I think he can adjust to any role you give him. I mean, today it was more facilitating. I mean, you're always going to get his defense on a night in, night out basis, but today he was amazing, just passing the ball, getting guys open, and
Yeah, Isaiah, Mark was in here and said he thought it took you guys a little while to recalibrate from series to series because Minnesota is so different than Denver. Could you tell that was a challenge in the first half that just, hey, we're playing a different kind of game now?
I think offensively, yeah. I think offensively was, I mean, I don't know how much Denver played zone, but it felt like it was almost every second of the game. So I think just coming in, playing man-to-man for the first time kind of in a while, took a bit. I mean, we got shots where we wanted. We missed some layups. And, yeah, I mean, I think that was the biggest thing is that offensively we weren't really making our shots, but defensively we were locked in the whole game. And then when we started making our shots, that's when we kind of got the lead.
One of the things that Mark has said about this team is that everyone sacrifices for this team.
Yeah.
What is it about the brotherhood of you guys that allows you to continue to be so selfless?
I think that we trust one another. I think we know whoever goes in, he's going to play his hardest and do what's best for the team. And, again, we want all each other to succeed. It's not like there's no egos involved, and I think that's what makes it really special, that no matter who's in, we're supporting one another. Some nights it's your night, some nights it's someone else's night. And so I think that's just what makes it really special, that there's no egos involved.
Michael Martin, Let's Talk Thunder. Isaiah, Denver threw a lot of zone out at you guys, and I think Minnesota at some point will do the same. Just want to ask you, how impactful or what makes it special about your game, in particular your playmaking, just out of those short rolls and specifically that little push shot?
I mean, I think I do a good job of just kind of figuring out what the team needs offensively. If it's more scoring with the floater and just getting people open, or if it's my passing. So I think I've played against different coverages, so I kind of know what spots I want to get to, how I want to get different people open, and I think that's what makes it very helpful, I think.
Hello, sir.
What's up, my guy?
Two questions. One, what was yesterday like? Like, how do you guys prepare and get rest that quickly in one day? Mm-hmm. And then two, when you came in here with this team so young, like, have you been stunned by the maturity that you've seen, like, all season long to this point?
Yeah. I mean, yesterday we were really just watching film. We didn't really get on the court at all. I think we were just taking care of our bodies, making sure we were right. I mean, I think what makes Mark so special, he trusts a lot of players. So it wasn't like we had 5 guys playing 40 minutes the series before. So I'm not saying we were fully rested, but we were more rested than probably other teams that played a 7-game series. Sorry. Yeah. You want to sit down? You can sit down, man. You can come sit down. It's my son, shit. It's my ugly twin. But yeah, I think I've seen it from day one how mature everyone is. I think from a day-to-day basis, how people take care of their bodies, how people prepare. You don't see that a lot from guys that are like 22, 23. And I think that's what makes us special, that, yeah, we're young, but I think we're a lot more mature than people know we are.
Chet, what clicked in the fourth quarter for you? That guy with, I think, when the 8 hit a big three and looked like they may be making a run, but you answered with one in the corner and you were on the offensive boards later. What kind of clicked for you?
I think I was just playing with more energy. I was out there stinking it up in the first half, and the game's not going to reward you for that. So I just feel like I turned up the intensity, played harder. I was able to find a little more gas in the tank, and then really exert that on the defensive end, and then that opened up stuff for not only myself but the rest of the team on offense.
Any more questions for Hart?
Yeah, just one last one. Joseph Pavone, clutch points. I was actually going to ask you about Chet in the front court, so you kind of helped me out there, Chet. But just overall at the front court, you guys just seemed to really bounce back in that second half. What went into that? What were some of the openings you saw from Minnesota, perhaps, or what was something that maybe perhaps was said at halftime to sort of get you guys going there?
I think we talked at halftime. We had to pick up the intensity. I mean, there was a couple times where we were going under the screen, not really putting the pressure up. And I think that we just want to come out, play more our game, be probably more assertive with our defense. And, I think it worked out really good.
Thanks, Hart.
Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Isaiah.
Chet, what did you feel out there just in terms of the way that the defense kept you in it in that first half? And I think Dub ends up with 5 steals. You had some massive blocks, and just the way that you guys were able to use that power throughout the night.
Yeah, just understanding that there's two sides to the basketball game, and you really, if you want to win it on playing only one side, you got to play really good, and you don't want to bet on that, especially in the playoffs, especially against a good team with good players, good coaches on the other side. So, you really got to try and give yourself a chance on both ends, and when things aren't going on one end, you really got to hunker down on the other, and then trust that that's going to open up stuff for you on offense. So I feel like we did a good job of that in the first half, and then we were able to do even better in the second half.
You were the only of kind of the 3 main centers in this series, you, Hartenstein, and Gobert, who even played in the fourth. Did Game 1 tell you anything about kind of the landscape of this series for centers and how it might look?
No, I'd say every game is going to look completely different. That's just kind of how the game rolled. That's how both coaches saw the game going, and they played what they felt like was going to give them the best chance to win the game on both sides, and thankfully, we were able to come away with the win on that one.
Michael Martin, let's talk Thunder. Chet, you've talked a lot about this year about sort of Kenrich and his leadership in the locker room. Can you speak to him tonight of just being ready, and another guy like Jay Will, where they never know when their number is going to be called, but they're always ready?
Man, I watch K show up every single day and put the work in, regardless of situation or what's going on in the games. He shows up and he makes it happen, and I know from myself seeing it, when I see somebody doing that, I know that they're always going to be ready. I know the coaches look at it the same way, and that's why I don't think Mark has any hesitation calling his name when he feels like the occasion calls for it as well. And we saw it tonight. He came in and he was really a spark plug on both ends. Made some big plays, got some big stops right when he came in, and then hit a couple big shots too. It's nothing I don't expect from him. I watch how hard he works. I watch what he works on, and none of that is outside of his game.
One of the things that Shai mentioned tonight is that the team didn't panic. From the outside looking in, can you talk about what goes into that, or is it just second nature at this point?
I say a big part of it is having a really good player like Shai that can control the game at times, and then knowing where to be and how to play off of him at times. And then a lot of credit goes to him too for trusting and making the right plays in situations where the other team tries to take him out. And then, it's on everybody else to be aggressive when he does make those right plays. And, that led to a lot of good things for us tonight.
Yeah, Chet, Randall hurt you guys a lot in the first half, 20 points on great shooting. He only had 5 shots in the second half. What personnel, scheme, what changed in the second half?
I didn't hate the defense that we played in the first half. Good players are going to get some looks, make some good shots. But I feel like as a team, it wasn't just keying in on what he was doing in the second half. I feel like as a team everywhere, all around, we took it up a notch and played a lot better in the second half. And I don't remember the exact number you just gave, but I feel like that's a byproduct of that.
Andrew Schlecht with The Athletic. Chet, what did you guys see in the second half? You shot 62% from the field as a team. In the first half, 37% as a team. What changed?
I would just say the intensity. We really focused on just winning every single possession, winning a defensive possession, and then winning an offensive possession, and then doing it, going back and forth. And I feel like the energy, we had different guys throughout that whole stretch of the second half who made energy plays for us, and that was contagious, and it kind of led to the next guy making the next play. So, we got to keep that going.
Thank you, Chad. You got J-Dub next.
Great stuff there from Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein. Great little tag team there from the Thunder's big men. And there's so many takeaways between what both of those guys said. But from Chet Holmgren, turning up the intensity there in the second half of this one, particularly in the fourth quarter. That's what we saw from him. And I think that bled over into the group as well.
And not getting discouraged by good players making shots in the first half. I mean, Julius Randle was awesome in that first half. And sometimes you got to tip your cat. And Chet even said it didn't really hate the defense that they played. Sometimes you just got to understand that, continue to weather those storms and turn the page and then do your best in the second half, and that's what this team did.
It was interesting, too, hearing from Isaiah Hartenstein talking about the fact that Denver felt like they played zone for every minute of that series, and then maybe only a possession or two of zone here from Minnesota today. And I think a lot of people anticipated maybe seeing more zone from Minnesota in this game. And so being able to calibrate to that throughout this game is really big for Oklahoma City, and Isaiah Hartenstein talking about that. All right, let's get you over to the podium so we can hear from Jalen Williams, J-Dum now.
The group that we have, I don't even think they really ask him to be in it. Just being one of the older guys, and he still is willing to lead by example and playing it and competing it. Just a lot of work behind the scenes. I've always seen him even from my first years being there, getting extra shots, working on his free throws, being ready just to kind of come in games like this. You never know when Mark's gonna sub you, and he's just a really good leader in that regard. He's been big for my development too, just being a pro. So he's always staying ready, and he's just a big part of our team.
Jalen, all season you guys have really prioritized protecting the paint and sort of living with volatility of opposing three-point shooting. And you've had some games where teams have gotten hot in the first half and then fallen off in the second half. During this game, does any of that kind of go through your mind of let's just keep doubling down as you hold them to 20 points in the paint?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's more so I guess a scheme to keep people out of the paint and stuff like that. Obviously for everybody, you get a lot of stuff going to the basket, but a lot of it is just riding the highs and lows of the game. Especially now, the stakes are higher, so a 6-0 run is going to feel like a 12-0 run and vice versa for everybody. So we just kind of try and stay in the same mindset of doing what got us here and kind of buckling down on some of our core fundamentals, and then wherever the game takes us, it takes us.
And then I just want to ask you about Kaysen. Also, he's obviously doing a great job defensively, but he has 7 assists tonight. How are you feeling, his playmaking impact, especially when you and Shai are getting so much attention? He's playing off that.
Yeah, he's growing up. Obviously, he played the one in college, so we all kind of had to change how we play when we got here. But yeah, he's just seizing the moment. We trust him to make plays, and he was really good tonight.
You kind of hit on just a little bit there. It's obvious that your opposition knows when they think a run's coming? I mean, he called a couple timeouts tonight within like a minute of each other.
Yeah.
Do you guys know it's coming, the big runs?
I don't know if you know a run is coming, but you can kind of sense like a flow to the game. So that's a good coaching on his part. I feel like, in order to know when it's coming, you have to watch a lot of film and understand the way the game is going. So I thought there were smart timeouts too, but at the same time, like, we're not really playing for runs. We're just trying to like stack possessions and go from there.
Jalen, all season long, you guys have talked about how you're not aiming to get a lot of turnovers, but whenever you get in a game like this where turnovers are abundant from the other team, what is the constant that you guys are doing that just so happens to generate them?
Playing hard on defense, following a game plan for the most part, and just kind of being there for one another on the defensive end. Like I say, we're not trying to steal the ball. We're just trying to be in the right spot every time and just make it difficult.
Andrew Schlecht with The Athletic. You guys shot 37% in the first half, missed a bunch of layups. Second half, you shot 62% from the field. What changed? What did you guys see differently?
Just stuck with it. That's basketball. Like, you're not ever going to shoot perfect. I think defensive consistency is one thing that we can always do, and we've been really good at that, and that's what we kind of buckled down on, and thought we were able to score a little bit off turnovers and get some easy ones, and from there it was cool. Are my teeth chattering? Like, does it look bad?
No.
Like, I'm freezing. Okay. Yeah. I can hear him.
Michael Martin, Let's Talk Thunder. Dub, a big sort of conversation talking point of this session has been just trusting guys like J. Will, Kenrich to come in, and the trust Mark has. What's sort of the process of earning Mark's trust, or is that the default with him?
It's probably like a little bit of both. I think some of it is just seeing how hard we work. He's pretty relatable too. Like, he understands what it's like to be, even though he hasn't played, you kind of got to tip your hat to him because he kind of is able to like put himself in our shoes a little bit and like understand what it's like to maybe like not play or like be in like my position. Like, he's really good at just understanding what it's like being a player. And he gives everybody opportunity to be great. And I think that's why we're able to like play so many guys and so many guys like playing for him.
Yeah, Jalen, it seemed like the Denver series lasted for 2 months. Was it sort of fun to play somebody new, and how different was it? Was it tough Mark said it was tough, he thought, on you guys to recalibrate, just the transition from so much of Denver and all of a sudden here's Minnesota?
Yeah, it's always fun I think it was more fun to advance. That's a good question. Honestly, it felt like today felt like kind of like regular season a little bit, just like you finally like play somebody else. That's the most I've ever played a team. Obviously, we played Denver like 4 times during the year too, so it was good to have like a little like change of pace and do that. Obviously, they present their challenges too, so yeah, it was definitely fun to play somebody else. The Denver series did seem like it lasted a very long time.
Anybody else?
Good night.
A very good night to J-Dub. He deserves a night's rest because, after one night, back at it again playing this Denver team after just one night of rest between Game 7 and Game 1. And to this point, it's kind of a good point. It feels like regular season. You go from one game to the next. You go from one opponent to the next, and the Thunder approach that like that today.
Yeah, no question. And, and maybe that, that recalibration obviously has something to do with it there. But now you're going to start getting into the teeth of the series and the adjustments and the scheming and all the film work that will go into it. And so, as much as this kind of Game 1 felt like a refresh moment, Game 2 is going to feel like an NBA playoff series again, where you're getting real familiar with your matchups.
That's right. So stick with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame, because we have got to get you all ready with everything you need to know as the Thunder head into Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
My doctor is my hero.
My doctor makes me happy, makes me feel safe.
It helps me get strong.
We're just so grateful that we don't have to travel out of state.
Oklahoma Children's Hospital cares for my child like their own.
Gives us hope. And has our trust.
Leadership starts at home. That's why Ford is from America, for America. And with a lineup of our most popular Ford trucks and SUVs, we're for Oklahoma too. Including F-150, Bronco, and Expedition. That's our leadership lineup. Right now, get employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Ford, from America, for America. At your best in Oklahoma Ford dealers. Proud truck partner of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Hey, have you heard what's happening at Mathis Home? The Monumental Savings Event is happening right now. Save big on our newest arrivals. We have hundreds of sofas with styles you love at unbeatable prices. Like this one. At just $5.99, you can enjoy this contemporary sofa by Ashley, complete with 5 accent pillows. Just one of over 100 great sofas in stock and ready for you to enjoy tonight with fast and free delivery. So don't miss out on the Monumental Savings Event happening at your furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
That is a wrap on Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals between Oklahoma City and Minnesota. The Thunder taking this win here today, 114-88, now has this series lead 1-0. So now got to get back to 0-0 because Game 2 is coming quickly. How about just on Thursday? That game tips off at 7:30 p.m. here in Paycom Center. And then Games 3 and Games 4, they are out in Minnesota. An entirely new challenge. Game 3 going to be on Saturday at 7:30. Game 4 going to be on Monday at 7:30 as well. So you got the schedule, you got the calendar, and you recognize that it is an every other day cadence for Oklahoma City throughout the entirety of this series against Minnesota. So Royce, we talked about with Kenrich what kind of to expect in Game 2, and I anticipate a lot of adjustments from Minnesota.
For sure, and again, there is, I think, a little bit of a feeling out. A lot of people were curious how these two teams would kind of approach this game. Minnesota did have a little bit more prep time than the Thunder did, but again, these are division opponents. These teams know each other well. Chris Finch is a great tactical coach. Obviously, Coach Mark is adept at that sort of stuff too. So a lot of film work as these teams, a lot of it isn't even on the court stuff. It is getting into film, getting to understand exactly how you want to cross-match, change things, tweak things, and then go out and execute them really well. And like Kenrich said, the biggest adjustment you'll probably see is an increase in intensity from the Timberwolves because they are certainly, everybody says it all the time, you come into these road environments looking to try to get a split. Well, they still have that opportunity in front of them for Game 2, so the Thunder got to be ready for it.
Yeah, you can only expect a hungry, highly motivated Minnesota team as they come into Paycom Center in come back in just a couple of days for Game 2 right here inside of this building. But that wraps us up covering an incredible Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals between Oklahoma City and Minnesota in front of this incredible Paycom Center crowd. The Thunder has this series lead 1-0 heading in to Game 2. What a series start here tonight. Once again, our final score, 114-88, with OKC leading this best-of-7 series 1-0. For Royce Young, I'm Paris Lawson. A reminder to join us for a complete breakdown and reaction following Game 2 on Thursday. Until then, good night from Paycom Center in downtown OKC.